welcome to Local Outbreak here on the Planet, 100.1 New Hampshire's Modern Rock, presented by IPMNation.com and RageRockRadio.com. Sitting here again this week with Hammer at the board. My name is Matt Connerton, and I am here with two members of the band Hyena Feast. How are you guys?
Doing pretty good.
Oh,
let's start over.
We can edit it. It doesn't matter. We edit it.
am I to avoid these F-bombs?
Yeah, because it's commercial radio, but don't worry about it. We'll edit it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We knew we were gonna have a problem with this.
No, that's all right.
With both of us, it was just he was the first one.
It will be remedied. Where are you guys from?
We're from Manchester.
Okay. And you have this CD here, A Feast for Hyenas.
That's right.
And where does the name Hyena Feast come from?
The name Hyena Feast, we originally were the post-war barbecue, and we went through a lineup change back in March of '09, and we wanted to stay with something food-related, feasting, barbecue, that kind of idea, and we went through about 70 or 80 band names, and in the end, Hyena Feast kind of stuck. It was an aggressive name. It was an animal name. A lot of people like that.
Mm-hmm.
And Feast for Hyenas was kind of a play off of that. Hyena Feast, feasting, that whole thing.
I caught on to that, actually, yeah.
So, we're trying to just slip it in a little.
Sure, that's cool. Well, I want to talk to you guys, get to know you and your project a bit, but let's play a track from your disc. What do you guys want to play?
I guess we'll start off with the first one on the album. It's called Dead Cat Bounce.
Okay, so this is Dead Cat Bounce from Hyena Feast on the Planet, 100.1 Local Outbreak.
All ready?
Yeah.
Local Outbreak here on the Planet, 100.1 New Hampshire's Modern Rock, back with Hyena Feast. And how do you guys describe your sound? Because it's definitely not what you normally hear on the radio, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. We're definitely a death metal band,
Uh-huh.
but when it comes to, I guess, categorizing us, we kind of fall into a lot of subcategories.
Mm-hmm.
We have parts that are thrash metal. We have some parts that are a little grindcore. We also do breakdowns, so, we're just an overall metal band in that sense.
Sure. By the way, I forgot to have you guys introduce yourselves. Why don't you tell me who you are and what you do in the band?
All right, I'm Matt Mills. I do vocals.
Uh-huh.
And I'm Steve Dolan. I'm the drummer.
Okay. And there's four of you total.
Yep. We
correct?
also have Marcus Ross on guitar and
Mm-hmm.
Bob Masterton on bass.
Okay. And how long has the band existed? Is this a fairly new project?
It's been around for about a year. It'll be a year March 6th, actually.
Okay. But Matt, you're the new guy, correct?
Yep, as of now, I think about 4 months now.
Okay.
Something like that.
I joined the band. I was at a show seeing one of my friends' bands playing. There was a bunch of good bands I wanted to see, and they ended up opening the show, and I knew Steve when he was in Heretic Hybrid. and he said that they needed a new singer. 3 days later, I was in the band playing the show with them, so yeah, everything just kind of clicked. It was a sound I'd never heard before. It was just something unique and something you really hear around here, so
Sure. How many bands have you been in, Matt?
I can't even count.
Really?
Far too many.
More than...
Then I've actually gone out and played shows. I think
Yeah.
this is now like my 4th.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's
I
not
figured it
really
was
that
more.
high up there. I like working with different people and doing little side projects, but
And you do a lot of solo stuff, too, that...
I have done some solo stuff in
Yeah.
the past, yeah.
Yes.
Right now, my main concern is working on Hyena Feast. I like the way
Sure.
things are going. We have a lot of plans for the future, so I like to kind of stick with this. As much as I want to work on music in my own time, I do that when I have time, but...
But
my
this
main-
is your main priority as far as music?
Exactly.
Cool. And how are the responses with when you're live? Because the songs are pretty short, right? I mean, they're generally... What's the average length?
About 2 minutes, 2.5.
Okay. How do people take to that?
Well, generally, we've gotten a few, encore, can we get a couple more songs?
Yeah.
But we try to keep our set short, get them to come back to the next show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we still got a few songs because Marcus is actually a new guitarist. When we recorded this album, A Feast for Hyenas, Marcus was just in the band for maybe like 3 weeks or so.
Sure.
We had replaced one of our guitarists, and we had about 9 songs then, 8 or 9 songs. And so if we bring back some of those old songs, which I'm sure we will over time, we'll be able to play like 30 minutes, probably even 45 or an hour. With our new guitarists, we just keep busting out new songs that sound awesome.
How many do you have at this point?
Well, for new songs, we
Yeah.
have 2 new songs that we've worked on.
How many total, would you say?
6.
Oh, okay.
That we perform.
Right. So how long is your set length now?
It's about 20 minutes.
About 20 minutes. Is that by... How should I put this? Is it by design that the songs are so short in that you consciously have made a decision that you want them to be short, or is it more just it feels natural to write them that way, and that's it just feels like that's how you want to present them?
A lot of the time when we're writing the material, we have a group of riffs that we're working on and a couple different rhythms, and when we're putting them together, we don't want these really long, drawn-out songs where you're getting the same piece multiple times, 4, 5, 6 times, and there's a lot of songs there today, a lot of local bands that we play with. They find a style that works for them, or do it. They just keep pumping out all these songs that are the same, and you know what's going to happen next on all the times. You're going to hear this piece 4 times. You're going to hear this breakdown, and they're going to go back to it. So we try to keep it, a little sporadic, very energetic, and that usually tends to a smaller song.
So it's a conscious decision then to approach it from that style.
Most definitely.
Do you have anything that you've written that is longer?
We have a few pieces that we're working on now that are, 3-4 minutes longer.
Yeah.
But as of right now, the majority of our songs are, just shorter pieces.
Is it challenging in any way to write, to consciously write things that are short? Do you find yourself wanting to naturally write longer tunes?
I feel that a lot of the times when we're writing pieces, you can feel when the song is done, and it's like we could tell ourselves, well, we could put on another piece, or this is only the halfway point in the song.
Right.
But in the end, it's like, well, we have all these other ideas, and we might as well put them into the next one and keep moving on.
Sure.
And it's like Matt said, we did have 8 songs originally, and we had an old guitarist, John Hobbs, who left us in December, and we were scheduled to record the album, like Matt said, 3 weeks later, and we swapped in Marcus real quick, and he learned the songs that we had down, our shorter ones, obviously,
Yeah.
a lot easier than the longer ones.
Yeah. I know I focused on the song length a lot, but it actually is, it's really unusual. Most bands don't, you see that sometimes with punk bands that have really short songs, but most metal bands, they kind of go out there with the idea of really making a statement and writing, 4 or 5 minute songs. So the approach of just kind of going out there and, wham, bang, we're going to hit you with the hook really fast and whatever is kind of unusual for this genre. So, but it'll probably help you stand out in the long run. Probably already does to some extent.
Yeah, that's one thing that we try for. I feel like a lot of people, and the same thing goes for artwork as well, is that everything's been done already, and that, there's no way to make something new happen. And it's true, everything has been done, but to a degree that you need to put everything that has been done in different combinations, and then, try to stay original in that sense. So that's something that we try for with Hyena Feast.
Cool. Well, why don't we play another track? What do you guys want to play from A Feast for Hyenas?
Cryodildonics.
Yeah.
Now, do me a favor. Say that one more time a little bit slower so people can catch the title.
Sure, this song is Cryodildonics.
Okay. What's it about?
This song is about getting a dildo mold and filling it with acid and then cryogenically freezing it and fornicating someone to death with it.
I suspected as much. All right, let's hear it. This is Cryodildonics from Hyena Feast on the Planet's local Outbreak, 100.1, New Hampshire's modern rock. Local Outbreak on the Planet, 100.1 New Hampshire's modern rock. Matt back here with Hyena Feast, or two members of Hyena Feast. So tell me about your approach to recording the disc. Where'd you guys record?
Well, we went over to Alex at What Just Happened Studio in Dover, New Hampshire. And going into it, we originally were planning on doing a 7-track album, and we ended up doing a 5 because we replaced our guitar player about a week before the album was recorded.
Oh, tell me about that.
That was pretty roughly. We had John Hobbs, our original guitar, who performed with me back at the when we were the post-war barbecue, and he had been with us for about 2 years and take the weekly or bi-weekly shows on, having a pretty strenuous job.
Didn't have the heart for it?
Didn't have the heart for it, sadly, so we had to let him go, and within a couple of weeks we replaced him with Marcus Ross, who is our new guitarist, and he's doing pretty well. He learned 5 of the songs pretty quickly, and we added on a new song that we just written with him a week before actually getting into the studio. But generally, when we hit the studio, we had a couple demos that we put out last year, just like self-recorded demos.
Yeah.
And we wanted to still have an album that people would come to our shows and still be impressed by the live show and not be like, oh, I heard your album online. It was really good. Live, you guys kind of sucked. We'd much rather get people saying, hey, I heard that album online. It wasn't that good, but, oh, man, your live show was great. So
Sure.
we told him that, we wanted to keep it focused on just being like a demo style, just like 5 tracks, real straightforward, no special bass drops, that kind of thing.
Is it important to you guys to duplicate what you do in the studio, to be able to duplicate that live pretty accurately?
That's a huge part, actually, is that we don't want to have something that, like, we didn't want to put a lot of, like, double guitar parts, like he wasn't going to do a rhythm part that we couldn't reproduce live.
Do you plan to record more soon?
We do. We plan on, at least in the beginning of the fall, getting the other 3 songs that we originally had last year, plus whatever new material we've written between now and then. We're going to try to put that into a nice full length.
Do you guys play out a lot? Because you had mentioned before that the old guitar player had a difficult time keeping up with the schedule.
Yep. Since pretty much June of 2009, we've been playing at least 1 show, if not 2 or 3, every week.
Wow, good.
We took a month off to record the album, but he had already left before that.
Yeah. So that is a pretty heavy schedule. That's more than a lot of bands from the area really do. Matt, you've been in several bands. Is this the busiest band that you've been in, would you say, as far as the touring?
Absolutely. I mean, I've had shows that 5 people have been there. I've had shows where 5,000 people have been there. I've gone through, all different. I've gone through all different types of shows.
Sure.
Sometimes it's more of a rock concept. You could play in front of 5,000 people, but if they're all there to see like a rock band, it's a little different.
Yeah.
As far as playing shows, going out and playing, this band is. I've played more shows with this band than I have any other band. I've only been in the band 3 months, so. I'm liking the way things are going.
Now, I'm curious, as a vocalist, is that tough? Is that tough on your vocal cords?
Absolutely not.
Really?
Yeah, I've kind of got down to a science. I don't really like the way my vocals came out a little bit on the CD. I mean, like, there's parts where it's right on, it's ferocious. But definitely to get to see what I do best, to see me live, it's
definitely a good time is what it is.
sediment.
Yeah.
Is there anything you've had to do differently because you're playing so many shows? Is there anything you've had to do differently to really protect your voice and your vocal cords?
Nope.
Really?
We practice a lot. We're in the studio practicing pretty much 3 or 4 days a week. So whatever days we're not practicing, we are performing. It gets worse, but it's the only way to get out there.
Yeah.
A lot of bands sit in their basement and expect everything to happen for them. But.
We've talked about that on this show. Yeah. You guys are. I'm impressed with the work ethic, because a lot of bands. I won't go through the whole rant, but my first time on the show, which was as a guest, not as the host, but I kind of ranted a little bit about how a lot of bands expect everything handed to them, and they think that, if they just go out and play through a few shows in clubs, the mythical record company scout will magically appear or come out of a genie bottle or something and hand them $1 million contract, and they just don't have the work ethic. But you guys clearly do. I always say in this business you got to crawl a mile just to gain an inch, and
it's definitely true.
And like I said, I know very few bands that come close to the kind of schedule you guys seem to be keeping. So do you have any advice for, let's say there were a band in this studio who maybe did not have your work ethic, or maybe was the type of band I just talked about that expected things to just happen for them without putting in the time? What would you say to them? What would be your advice?
I would tell them to be professional, and that overall, when you're talking to booking people and people who own promoting companies and you're trying to get put on larger shows, that coming off as just a person who, I'm in this band, but we don't really do a lot, and we don't have merchandise, and we don't have websites, no one's going to respect that. And in the end, professionality is really all that's gonna make you succeed. And so we try to stay rigorous. We try to stay on top of all of the show offers that we get. We try not to just even being punctual and not being late to shows.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. We get to a lot of shows and people show up half hour late,
Oh,
hour
yeah.
late, taking too much time getting on and off stage. Like things like that end up adding up, and in the end, people just don't respect it.
Right. Very well said. Matt, do you have anything to add to that? You're pretty experienced at this stuff.
No. I think you said it all.
Yeah. Do you handle a lot of the business end of it, Steve?
I
the
do.
band?
I do
Yeah.
all the booking for all the shows, and
Yeah.
for my other band, Cauterize the Earth, as well.
Yeah. Do you want to mention Cauterize the Earth? Is that also an active project?
Yep, Cauterize the Earth is a project I've been doing since about September of last year.
Uh-huh.
We just played our first show last week at the Henniker Junction. We're kind of a experimental grindcore band, but we also play this kind of jazzy funk melodies in place of breakdowns.
Uh-huh.
So
Oh.
it's really original. We have a lot of, different attributes. A lot of the members have been in a lot of larger bands. Our bass player, Zach Pappas, has been in Goratory. He was with them for a while.
Uh-huh.
So he's got a lot of touring experience and a lot of really great things to bring with us. And we're looking forward to a lot of good stuff, both Hyena Feast and Cauterize the Earth.
Sure. What about you, Matt? Do you have anything? I know you're always doing a lot of stuff, but
Yeah, always a bunch of side projects.
Yeah.
As of right now, I'm just kind of jamming with my friends when I got time, and having fun with music. Not really putting much out there. I just do it for fun, kind of for my own amusement.
sure. Yeah. Well, it sounds like Hyena Feast keeps you pretty busy anyway.
Yep, that's like I said from the beginning. That's my main priority right now. Is just kind of getting that out there and making, making sure we sound good.
Right. Right. Cool. Well, let's play another track. What do you guys want to hear?
All right, the next one we got is The Insurmountable Task. It's our hate anthem. It's a song about, things that you can't overcome and how much you just hate that. And so,
Right. Right.
Can you hate like we hate?
Okay. Cool. So this is The Insurmountable Task from Hyena Feast on Local Outbreak on the Planet, 100.1 New Hampshire's Modern Rock. Local Outbreak on the Planet, 100.1 New Hampshire's Modern Rock. So, Hyena Feast, where do we find you online?
You can find us online at myspace.com/Hyena Feast, but you can also find us on Reverb Nation, Facebook, Bebo.
What was the last one?
Bebo?
Oh, Bebo.
Yeah,
I've
Bebo.com.
never checked that out, actually.
It actually, we get 98% of our hits from our MySpace page. Not a lot of people check out the other pages, the Reverb Nation page, the Bebo. Even the Facebook doesn't get that many.
No kidding.
Yep.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about that off air a little earlier. So you feel that the MySpace is really, your MySpace page really does you a lot of good.
Yeah, as much
compared
as
to the other pages.
A lot of people think that the MySpace page is kind of like a goofy 16-year-old girl thing to have. It's
Sure.
It's true that the majority of the hits that we do get, and a lot of the shows that we get booked are through promoters that have MySpace pages.
Yeah. So you feel that for you, MySpace is still very valuable, because a lot of people are kind of talking like MySpace is dying and that everyone's going to Facebook, but from what you've seen, that's not the case.
No, it's true. A lot of people for their personal pages have definitely switched over to Facebook, but for a lot of bands and just booking companies, MySpace is really just where they are.
Uh-huh. Matt, do you have anything to add to that?
Oh my God, I'm almost crying.
All right.
I don't know if everybody anybody heard what was going on during that.
It's anarchy in the RageRockRadio.com studio. So you mentioned a tour you guys are planning.
Yeah, we're trying to get a little self-booked tour going on from about here to Philadelphia for sometime in May. Those dates will be posted online shortly.
Okay. Why Philadelphia?
We feel like Philadelphia is going to be a good halfway spot. We were originally thinking of doing a full East Coast tour from here to about Florida, but with the album out and the response that we got from that, we're thinking, let's keep it short. Let's try to get more of the people in an area that we can perhaps hit again in the near future.
Have you booked a tour like that before?
No, we haven't played any shows south of Connecticut.
Okay. But have you specifically, because I know you have a good handle on the business aspect of all that, with any of the other bands that you've been in, or is this kind of a new challenge for you, booking an actual tour that goes that far?
Yeah, getting out of New England, I guess, is going to be a big thing for us. Finding booking companies and promoters for New York and for Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, upstate New York. Those regions where we're trying to reach out there. We're trying to meet new people. We're trying to get some good connections going on.
Sure. Hopefully, move some CDs, I would assume.
Yep, we got CDs. We got T-shirts.
Is the disc available online?
The disc, you can hear 2 of the tracks online right now. Right now, the disc is only available at our live performances as well as all of our merch.
Okay. Do you have any plans to eventually get it up on, CD Baby or anything like that, or do you think maybe eventually you'll just focus on moving on to a new disc and
well, we're definitely
keep this one for promo? Or?
We're planning on having a full length that we're going to put out later this year, but for right now, we're just trying to get into people's hands.
Sure.
If you want a taste of it, obviously you can go online and get it, but perhaps after we have the full length out, that more of it will be available online.
There's a joke in there somewhere with the hands and the taste, but
somewhere.
I'll leave it alone. We won't look too far for that. Well, you guys got a lot going on, so that's good, and you definitely have the right attitude. Thanks for coming in, guys. Let's mention the MySpace one more time so people know where to find you.
Yep, myspace.com/Hyena Feast for everything Hyena Feast.
And Hyena is spelled Hyena.
Yep, Hyena Feast, all one word.
For our spelling impaired listeners, I'm sure we have a few. So very good, guys. Well, what do you guys want to wrap up the show with?
I guess we'll finish it off with the last song on the CD. It's called "The Piece of Reese." It's about murder and candy.
Piece of Reese.
Yep.
Murder and candy. Reese. So Reese's obviously refers to Reese's Pieces.
The Reese's Pieces. There's actually
Reese's Pieces.
A Family Guy episode where a car accident happens with chocolate and peanut butter, and this is kind of a story off of that concept, how this Officer Reese goes off murdering people and to become, this gigantic company of Reese's Pieces.
Excellent. The stuff that metal is made of.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Hyena Feast, thank you very much for coming in today.
And thank you so much for having us.
This has been Local Outbreak on the Planet 100.1, New Hampshire's modern rock. My name is Matt, and I'll see you next time from the RageRockRadio.com studio. Yeah!